Javier, so let's call him Javier. Yeah, it's better.
Yeah.
Javier's see if Javier's plan against Mimikyu Snorlax is something that I'm not seeing. It's not. It's about a 50-50 matchup, I'd say. Because Mach can knock off the berry as Arcanine can Will-O-Wisp the Snorlax and the Mimikyu. Yeah, it's a bit of a weird matchup, but let's see how they capitalize on that.
Yeah, it should be interesting to see. Another thing we talked about is getting the momentum in the beginning of the set. That could be an important factor for game 2 and a potential game 3. Javier did decide what he's going with. Ashton soon after. So after all this, we are finally getting into the finals of the very first Latin American International Championships.
Hell yeah, let's go!
Let's go!
Finally, let's see the leads. I've been waiting for these leads for hours.
Yeah, we've been talking about it enough. Okay, so we see the Torkoal, Lilligant, Ashton going with the Pineapple Luck. Going to be trying to hit some sleep powders against Tapu Lele and Muck from Javier. So what do you think of this lead now that we finally get to see what it is?
This is very interesting. I'd say that the Tapu Lele Muck was a bit of a general play that would work on most situations, as you'd be able to, threaten the Snorlax with a knockoff. Psychic from a Tapu Lele is nothing to scoff at. It's a really strong move that you should always fear that, works for basically anything. If you went for Torkoal without Lilligant, it would have been really great. With Lilligant's pressure, it's obviously a bit awkward for both players because they kind of have to hit sleep powders. Ashton needs to. Let's see how it goes, though.
Yeah, so we see Ninetales switching in. He's going to override the Sun, bring in the Hail. That's going to slow Lilligant down to its normal speed. But Torkoal actually switches out almost as if Ashton saw that coming, brings in the Mimikyu, and Sleep Powder. Oh, against all odds, Ashton manages to miss a Sleep Powder. He's a very lucky player.
Oh, wow. This is...
And the knockoff breaks Mimikyu's disguise. And it knocks off the Mental Herb. So good information getting revealed there.
Really good information. Of course, Sleep Powder is not the most reliable move. 75% accuracy isn't that good. So it's understandable that he will miss some. Very fortunate for Javier to avoid the move. Of course, going for a solid play, possibly expecting him not to go for the eruption, or even then, taking the boost off would allow to, make Lilligant slower. You would have survived with Ninetales on the Sash, and you would have been able to knock off an item. So yeah, solid play all around. Of course, he was relying a bit on some Sleep Powder rolls, either missing or waking up at a crucial time. But, a bit different from what I was expecting, definitely.
And Javier decides that he wants to cycle out his Ninetales, and at that same time, Ashton is going to go ahead and bring Torkoal back in, but I wouldn't be really surprised to see Mimikyu going for a Trick Room if it can survive. Knockoff into the Torkoal will, I believe, get rid of the Charcoal and do a decent amount of damage to weaken the overall power of Eruption. Arcanine being in, also threatening because it's not going to take a whole lot of damage. Obviously, it resists an Eruption, and also will have a boosted Flare Blitz into Mimikyu's slot. So we easily appreciate that.
What an amazing play by Javier. He basically, he predicted that Lilligant did not want to be there. He doesn't want to bring in Torkoal and obviously decrease the Blizzard accuracy, but it would have still not been in his favor to avoid this Blizzard. So it was obvious that Lilligant wanted to switch out, and the best way that Javier found to capitalize on that was to switch Arcanine in. So he has the Hail in the back to switch back in, and then Arcanine pressuring something. Intimidate is going to affect Mimikyu, and with Muck he managed to predict a switch, knock off the Charcoal, and now not only is Eruption going to do less, it's actually any fire move is going to do less damage.
Yeah, and so we see Ninetales come back in, weakening the power of the Eruption, while Eruption does a decent amount of damage to Muck, a good amount of damage to Ninetales, and now Muck goes for the Curse, and Mimikyu misses the Play Rough. So that was a pretty big turn. Ashton had an opportunity to potentially proc Muck's Citrus Berry, even though it did have that defense boost. And yeah, I think Javier now with the Trick Room up being the slowest thing on the field is having the slowest Pokemon on the field is a big advantage for him.
Yeah, definitely. Ashton is obviously not being very fortunate, but of course, both the moves that he missed, he also had to rely on roll. First of all, Play Rough wasn't going to do anything. It would actually proc Muck's Berry, which would make him even healthier. Of course, he would have made it so that he couldn't use it anymore, but still, he could have decreased his attack as well. And Sleep Powder, he was relying on him not waking up at the crucial times. So, even though he missed those moves, it actually, I also needed some luck for them to have any benefit. All around, very good play from Javier.
Yeah, and now Arcanine comes in, switches out for Lilligant, while Torkoal switches out for Lilligant, while Arcanine switches out for Ninetales. Mimikyu takes a +1 poison jab, while it returns with a Play Rough that gets an attack drop. Now the berry is going to proc because of the hail damage, and the Intimidate on Mimikyu is also really important now. Muck being at +1 and Mimikyu being at least minus. Is it a -1 or is it a -2? Because that didn't do any damage.
Oh, it is -2.
Yeah.
But something that I know necessarily is that he had the perfect opportunity to psych up the Muck, so you would get both an attack boost and a defense boost, taking the poison jab much better and having actual offensive presence and losing its stops. But I guess Ashton preferred to do some consistent damage on Muck instead of thinking that maybe it wouldn't have been worth it. Would have been still tweet KO'd by the poison jab. I mean, it would have, because Muck moved first, of course. It could have not paid off, so I have to respect that play, of course. But I think he had an opportunity to psych up maybe. It's hard to call, of course. Because, after the poison jab, it just took so much damage. But let's see. Javier is making a lot of good positional switches.
Yep. Torkoal is going to come back in, set the sun back up. Mimikyu does basically no damage after Muck gets off another curse. And now Arcanine is going to be able to take advantage of the weather, go for a Flare Blitz, which actually does a surprising amount into the Torkoal, which resists fire-type attacks. Psychic Terrain will leave the battlefield. Not that that really matters too much. And honestly, Ashton is just, it really doesn't seem like he knows what to do in this game. His Pokemon are getting whittled down. Javier is nailing all of the switches, and he just can't apply any pressure, which is so uncharacteristic of his team.
Yeah, I have to agree that, as I said, I expected Arcanine to be very important in the matchup, and that's what we're seeing. The positional switches are really making it tough for Ashton to deal with.
Well, we do see Arcanine leave the field once again. Ninetales coming back in. Could go down to a potential heat wave from Torkoal. Muck is just going to go ahead and protect. So this could be a chance for Ashton to take a knockout. He does go for the heat wave. That should be enough to get rid of Ninetales. Yes. Okay. So at least now Ashton has the opportunity to win the weather war, as the stream is buffering. Okay, it's back.
Yeah. Okay.
Nope, it's frozen. I'm going to refresh.
All right. Anyway, it's important to notice that Javier's main threats are still alive and healthy in Muck and Arcanine. He just got rid of the better way of taking the fire moves. But the Charcoal isn't anymore on Turtle's possession. And, it's already heavily damaged. So I don't think winning the Weather War is necessarily a good thing, especially since you would have to switch something in before being able to get Sun back up and making Lilligant actually a great threat.
Right.
Since Arcanine should still be faster. I don't know about their speeds, but you'd expect Arcanine to be faster.
And Arcanine comes back in.
Electric Room is over.
Intimidate onto Mimikyu. That thing is doing no damage to anybody at this point. Pretty much just dead weight on the team. Torkoal not going to be able to do a whole lot either. And the stream.
Yeah, it's a free turn for Javier to start picking up KOs. If he KOs something on Torkoal's slot, if he KOs Torkoal right here, Lilligant won't be useful at all. Except, he will possibly be able to get some sleep off, but that's if first Layla is in the back and manages to KO Arcanine, and second, if the Lilligant gets the sleep powder roll, which it's not reliable at all. Ashton is a tough spot, and he needs some luck on his side to be able to come back.
Yeah, and also apologies to everyone for having to keep refreshing the stream. When things start buffering, I don't want to risk missing any plays, so I'll probably just be on top of that as a heads up. Torko is going to switch out, so Ashton is going to... Oh, he's going to bring in the Snorlax. Javier seems very happy. Could we potentially see a knockoff into that slot? Flare Blitz coming out somewhere as the stream is buffering again.
Yeah, it's buffering. Yeah, he seems like completely ecstatic.
All right, we're going to... Is it up for you? It's still buffering for me.
Oh, yeah, a Flare Blitz right into the Mimikyu.
Right into the Mimikyu, okay.
Knocking it out. And the knockoff, I presume, coming on now.
Yep.
As it is, knocked off that Snorlax item right away, doing around 55% to that Snorlax. That is so huge for Javier. And, the crowd seems to be on his side as they're all shouting on his favor.
Yeah. Well, that was definitely a good play. I don't really think Ashton has much of a chance to come back from this. I think he needs to start thinking about what he wants to do for Game 2. And Javier has to be feeling good because this was a pretty commanding victory. He did lose Ninetales, but not only after switching in and out of the battlefield 3 times. So
obviously it's not over yet because the Lilligant can still spread around some sleep powders and get some lucky rolls.
Right.
But I don't see how it deals with the Muck. I mean, he needs to protect Turtle right here to avoid getting KO'd. He needs to sacrifice Snorlax, and then he has to rely on Lily to be able to pull off the win from there. He still has a Tapu Lele in the back as well, and Torkoal basically, if he KOs Torkoal, he just has, I believe he just has to, if he Flare Blitzes the Lilligant and knocks off Torkoal the next turn, I don't see how Ashton can possibly win.
No.
He needs, I think he needs to get a double protect on Torkoal, get both Pokemon to sleep, and then start getting lucky with the sleep turns and maybe some critical hits. But that's his win condition. He needs to pull off a double protect.
Yeah, and you have to wonder. I mean, I would really be curious to see how the game might have gone differently if he hadn't hit that sleep powder on that first turn. You can't assume that it would change the entire game, but anyway, we see Will-O-Wisp coming out onto Snorlax, going to make it nerf its attack quite a bit.
That was an excellent...
What?
Yeah, it was an excellent play from Javier because he didn't allow Ashton to sacrifice the Snorlax as he wanted.
Right.
He forces it on the field, and now it cannot bring Lilligant with Torkoal. And, it's just... Let's move on into Game 2 already.
Yeah, basically. No, but you're absolutely right. That was a very clever play from Javier. And something that not a lot of players have the foresight to do. People will just want to take that knockout even though it might be better to wait. And I think Javier had a really good chance of winning regardless of what happened, but still good to be playing smart. Ashton goes to the double protect, does not get it. Flare Blitz coming out, I imagine, into the Snorlax. That is the case. Gonna take the knockout, and Muck will finish off Torkoal with either a poison jab or a knockoff, a poison jab.
Yeah, at that point, the Torkoal needed a triple protect, unless of course Javier didn't make the right play, the most optimal play right in the following turn.
Right.
So it was already really tough even if it's double protect. It showed how essential. It's interesting to see that. As I said, Arcanine and Muck would be key for Javier to win, and as you see, the match is finishing with Arcanine and Muck cleaning up.
So, with that being the case, how do you think Ashton readjusts for Game 2? Do you think it's that Snorlax Mimikyu lead?
I don't think he understood his matchup well enough. I think he needs.
He's going to reveal the Bloom Doom.
Why? What is he doing?
I don't know. He
shouldn't.
Even Ashton doesn't know what he's doing. He's shaking his head. I don't know. So okay. Well, Bloom Doom. I guess this is information. Maybe he can. Actually, this just has no. Maybe he's trying to see how much this does to Muck.
That's solid. That's a solid point. That's a very solid point. He wants to know how much it does. It's very important. It's probable that Javier already knew anyway.
Yeah.
So getting the Bloom the Mob just allows him to, get some damage rolls on his head, know how much damage he needs to deal to Muck. Know if it's enough to proc the berry, so he can just Z-move it and then attack it with something before the berry popping up. And, in a way, even though he revealed it's very likely that Javier will anyway. Yeah. So yeah, in a way, yeah, it's definitely a solid play. Knowing your damage rolls is important. Going to Arcanine would have just KO'd it anyway, so I don't think you would have revealed many damage rolls. Like I have no idea. Lilligant has a surprisingly high special attack stat.
Although actually, I think if Lilligant had gone into Arcanine, it would have brought it down to the point where Riqua would have knocked it out. Not that it really mattered for the game, but maybe style points for getting an extra knockout. Anyway, so game 2 now of this set. Javier with a fairly commanding victory. Seemed like he was in control the entire time. Ashton, meanwhile, on the ropes, seemed like he couldn't find his footing. You think this is needs to be the Snorlax Mimikyu lead, or do you think that's not safe against a potential Muck Lily lead like in game 1?
He needs to. I think he needs to lead Snorlax Mimikyu. He has to realize how important that Lele is, because I don't think he's giving. I don't think Torkoal Lilligant is the way to go. Like, it's my opinion. I don't know the matchup well enough. I don't know the team well enough. I've not used that team, so I wouldn't know as well as him maybe. But analyzing both teams and knowing how the metagame works, I know that it's important that he understands that Arcanine and Muck are the threats, as we've been saying for the whole preview.
Yeah.
So he has to find out a way of dealing with them as quick as possible.
Well, instead of what we said, we see Lilligant Snorlax for Ashton, and we see the same 2 Pokemon that caused him so much trouble from Javier, Muck and Arcanine. Intimidate coming out, going to lower Snorlax's attack, though, if it's a Belly Drum Snorlax, which I believe it is. Not going to matter too much. Interesting choice, though, to bring Lilligant out without the Sun. It's not necessarily going to be, speed boosted, but I know they changed, the speed mechanics this generation, but I think that might do with Megas. If he switches in Torkoal, he doesn't move first, right?
Yeah, he doesn't.
Okay.
They didn't change that. I thought of it as well when the form. No, yeah, they didn't change that. It's still going to be the normal speed. Although, this is obviously not very good lead for Ashton at all. He can just get Flare Blitz and then knocked off. It's just not good.
Well, we see Ninetales switch in, and actually Lilligant outspeeds and is going to get a Sleep Powder off onto the Ninetales. Maybe not the most important thing in the world. Arcanine actually just decides he doesn't want Snorlax to be doing as much damage as it potentially could with the Belly Drum, so it goes for the Will-O-Wisp, and Ashton does get the Belly Drum off. So now I think what we agreed, its attack is going to be ×2 after everything. It's basically actually no, because basically it's how it works. Burn adds the boost, so if adds the stat. So if you're multiplying by 4, which +6 is basically multiplying by 4, right?
You'll be reducing to half, which is +2. But it's actually at +5, so it's actually at
Oh right, because the Intimidate. Oh no, that overwrite Belly Drum overwrites because it gets maxed. Anyway.
Yes, you're right. So yeah, he's at +2 essentially.
Right. So I think this is a situation where Ashton should really try to threaten this Arcanine if he can, because a +2 return from Snorlax is good, or high horsepower even would do a lot of damage. Ninetales here isn't a threat, and the other good news for Ashton is he can go for the Sleep Powder with Lilligant. He does outspeed Arcanine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, something interesting, to note is that, of course, Lilligant is faster than Arcanine. That changes the matchup completely. And also, it's important. Javier predicted that as well, so he brought in Ninetales as.
Yeah, well, so we're gonna see actually Mimikyu come in for Lilligant. Arcanine's gonna protect Javier. Not happy with that turn of events because he did not capitalize on it. And I think Snorlax went for a high horsepower into that slot. Ninetales takes its first mandatory turn of sleep. Not going to do anything. And now it seems like a really easy trick room for Ashton, which is going to put him in that situation that we've talked about so many times where he can Get the Trick Room up, psych up, and then just start sweeping.
Exactly. Also, a Ninetales could possibly just wake up and set up the Aurora Veil, and now being burnt and having to attack through Aurora Veil will be very complicated for it to do any damage. Of course, I think high horsepower still KOs Arcanine because it's basically a stab boosted high horsepower from a Snorlax.
Right.
You know, I say stab boosted because it's basically at 1.5. Since it's basically a +2. Plus attacking through Aurora Veil should be at around 1.5 times. But yeah, Ninetales doesn't wake up at all.
Yep, so we see Ninetales sleep. Arcanine goes for a Flare Blitz on the Snorlax, brings it down fairly low with the Hail and the Burn. That's going to put it in a dangerous position. Mimikyu, though, gets the Trick Room up, and Ashton decides he actually wants to break the sash on the Ninetales, put it in a position where it can be knocked out next turn. And now, you know, maybe he really wants to get rid of the Ninetales, but we could see Snorlax target either of these slots. We could see Mimikyu try and pick up one while Snorlax picks up the other. We could see a Psych Up. We have a lot of options here. But it's looking good for Ashton.
Yes, as I was saying, Mimikyu Snorlax, if it gets set up, it will be very hard for Javier to have any chance. Since now Mimikyu can just Psych Up and Snorlax can, recycle, and I don't think there's much way for it to be stopped. I mean, I guess if Arcanine just attacks anyway, maybe, that could be trouble for Snorlax. But it's always like, it's a prediction that Javier didn't want to make, which is, will a +6 Snorlax attack me or not?
Right.
Will I just straight up attack before it? Is it after it? Just no fear. But yeah,
well,
let's see.
Let's see. Ninetales finally wakes up, gets to protect. Snorlax goes for a Recycle, giving Arcanine the opportunity to Flare Blitz it, while Mimikyu just goes for a Shadow Claw, does decide to pick it up. And our helpful chat pointed out that perhaps the high horsepower into the Ninetales slot was to cover potential Mux switch-in.
Oh yeah, I wanted to say that as well. Yes, it was possible because since you were breaking a sash anyway, at least you cover for the Mux switch-in because return wouldn't have KO'd. Right. So you get that in your favor. So yeah, we see that Ashton actually didn't psych up. He's really trying to not reveal it, and I have to respect that a lot, because it can change a game completely, and if he sees that he doesn't need to, that's a very solid plan from him.
Well, and here's the turn starts. Ashton is very excited, did go for the high horsepower into the muck, does get the knockout, one-hit KO from the +2 Snorlax, and Mimikyu gets the Psych Up, so even if Arcanine knocks out Snorlax with a Flare Blitz on this turn, Mimikyu is still there, still has its disguise, and is now at +6 and not burned. So that's huge. That was a huge turn for Ashton.
Wow, yes. Really well played by Ashton. Getting the KO despite the burn. As you see, since it's basically a +2. +2 high horsepower is definitely going, get the KO. It's basically stab with a slight boost, Snorlax is going down, but that's still a +6 Mimikyu without its disguise broken on the field. And I think they may actually be a big, because he has ways of dealing with Snorlax, You can knock off the parry, you can Will-O-Wisp it, but if you're wasting time Will-O-Wisping and knocking off the Snorlax, you're not doing that to the Mimikyu. And Mimikyu will eventually be a +6 with the disguise intact. This is really tough this is going to
be hard for Javier to play out of. He can just protect to get rid of this last turn of Trick Room. I think it's the last turn of Trick Room, right?
Yes.
Okay. So
definitely.
That's an option.
And we've seen that he has Shadow Claw, he has Psych Up, Trick Room, and Play Rough, so he does not have Shadow Sneak. So that's like, if Trick Room ends, he at least has the guarantee that he will be moving first, Javier, So there's obviously that. And basically what we're seeing throughout the game so far is precisely what we predicted. If Ashton doesn't go with a Mimikyu Snorlax, hold on, sorry. If he doesn't go with a Mimikyu Snorlax, what happens is that, I'm sorry, I'm just trying to process through the turns that are going on. Yeah. So yeah, we see the Ninetales going down, but yeah, so what I was to say is, if he doesn't go with a core, he's obviously going to lose to Mux. But if he does, he'll be in a great position as long as he pulls off the setup.
Right. And so we see Tapu Lele come out from the back, Javier's last Pokemon, against Torkoal, Lilligant, and a +6 Mimikyu. I believe Trick Room did end though, but Mimikyu has its disguise still, and I don't think that any two combinations of an attack will be able to pick up a knockout. Arcanine goes for the double protect. It fails. Oh, there's one turn of Trick Room left.
Yeah.
Okay, well, so Eruption comes out onto both Pokemon. Shadow Claw picks up the knockout on Tapu Lele, and now that it is actually the last turn of Trick Room, it won't really matter. Arcanine will at best be able to break a disguise and then go down to a Shadow Claw. So Game 2 will go to Ashton. We got a Game 3 tiebreaker. Well, not tiebreaker, but just a Game 3, and that's exciting.
Yes, I should seem to know about the Tapu Lele, since he just attacked it, not fearing the protect. Really well played, definitely. But, it's been, as I said, I think now they are both aware of what we were talking about. Mimikyu Snorlax is important for Ashton. Arcanine Mach are important for Javier. Let's see how they manage to mess around with the, those win conditions.
Yeah.
I'm not being able to understand Javier's most consistent answer to Mimikyu Snorlax.
Well, it's tough. I thought what was interesting in that second game is that even though Javier led with Muck and Arcanine, which both seemed like had very good answers. You could knock off the Berry, you could Will-O-Wisp the Mimikyu, things like that. By leading with Lilligant and threatening to put one to sleep, it forced Javier to get rid of the Muck and put himself in a position where Ashton could then later set up. So it'll be interesting to see whether we see Lilligant and Snorlax again, and also whether Ashton really wants to risk it on a 75% chance to hit a Sleep Powder.
Yeah, that's exactly like where the matchup may be tough for Ashton. If he relies too much on powder, things will get very tricky. Let's see. But Javier can definitely go with Porygon 2. Try to play Trick Room mind games.
Yeah.
Definitely Arcanine Porygon 2. A solid answer all around. It can actually it can also bring Garchomp, try and Tectonic Rage stuff. I don't know how that would work though. If he tries to Blizzard and Tectonic Rage the Mimikyu as soon as possible, he would be able. If he doesn't KO, at least he should KO with Hail.
Right.
And the Psychic threat would be gone. The problem is that Snorlax would still be alive, and he does have high horsepower. At least he knows that he doesn't have Protect, which can be very crucial. If he gets the Snorlax on the lead, he doesn't lose anything by just going for the double target, and that's huge.
Yeah. Well, we see the leads. Lilligant Torkoal from Ashton against Lele Muck from Javier, and so it looks like we're right back at Game 1. If I'm not mistaken, these were the leads, right?
Yes, exactly the same.
Well, it'll be interesting to see what happens as a result.
Oh, I don't know if you're... I just refreshed, so I'm seeing what's happening.
Oh, yeah. The stream is a little bit behind. So
okay, so I'm not going to comment.
Yeah. Well, you can do analysis, then I'll do, once the turns start happening, Anyway.
So yeah, what happens is, Gracia is Bloom Doom right into the... as he switches out into Ninetales, and the Torkoal goes for a useless Eruption right there. I think Javier came out on top of that turn. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that it was not the best use of his Z move, especially with Eruption not doing more damage. Let's see. Actually, so I'm just seeing the Bloom Doom now. So is the stream.
Okay.
So it goes into the Ninetales. So does he knock out the Ninetales after the Eruption?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So I suppose Javier came out on top because he gets rid of...
Positionally, yes.
Yeah, positionally. He gets a free switch in. That's always good, too. Lilligant's slower. Yeah, but at the same time, Javier won't be able to reposition himself as well. And we see that Lilligant is... We know that Lilligant is fairly faster than the rest of Javier's team and could still get off Sleep Powders.
So here's the thing. Tapu Lele could Psychic Lilligant. We don't know if we would be able to survive it. And I think the game will basically come down to that.
Catch up real quick.
Okay, so I'm not going to comment on that. We see what happens. Ooh. Okay. This is very important. Precisely what I was mentioning. I don't know if you've caught up.
Yeah. Okay. So we kind of missed that turn. We were farther behind than I thought. Sorry about that, guys. So what? So run us through what happened.
Okay, so basically, Tapu Lele went right into the Psychic towards the Lilligant and straight up KO'd it, as Mux set up a curse while Mimikyu came in for the Torkoal.
So the Lilligant was outsped by Lele?
Yes.
Okay.
So yeah, that confirms that Lele is Scarf. I think, yeah, basically, because we've seen that. I already knew from from before the tournament that he was actually Scarf.
Well, okay. So now
we also know that a Psychic plus a Poison Jab will not KO Mimikyu unless there's a crit. So like double tagging the Mimikyu wouldn't necessarily solve anything. Obviously, Mimikyu could just psych up the Muck and get the plus 1 attack, plus 1 defense, and take the Poison Jab, much better. Torkoal is obviously doesn't want to take any move coming from Javier.
No, and so Torkoal is going to go for a Protect. But we do see the Psychic into the Mimikyu slot that will break the disguise. Let's see what the Mimikyu does. Whether I imagine it's got to be setting up a Trick Room. Muck goes for a Poison Jab into that slot as well. That does just about half. Does get the poison. That is big too. And Mimikyu goes for a Trick Room. And so that means that Mimikyu is not going to work. If Snorlax is in the back, Mimikyu won't be able to psych up and apply offensive pressure at the same time because it's now on a very short timer.
I think it would heavily depend on whether or not Muck underspeeds Torkoal after the curse. Right. If he does, like if Muck moves first, he can just KO the Mimikyu and then psychic the Torkoal. If it doesn't, the opposite happens, as Torkoal probably goes into the overheat right into the Muck, KOs it, and then Shadow Claw does a lot to Tapu Lele, as Tapu Lele KOs one of the opposing Pokemon. So it really comes down to this speed, to the speed tier. Let's see. This is very exciting because it's literally.
Let's see. So actually, Javier wants to bring in his Arcanine, gets an Intimidate onto the Mimikyu at least, which will lessen the damage of a Shadow Claw, barring a crit. Torkoal is going to go for that overheat correctly, as you predicted, as the stream is buffering.
Same for me.
So let's see.
Oh man, this is a worst time for it to buffer.
I know. We rewound a sec, so okay. So Arcanine's just coming in again. So we see the overheat. It does connect. It's going to go into the Arcanine, do a little less than half.
I'm behind.
Torkoal will obviously lose its special defense, or its special attack. Shadow Claw into the Lele. Javier praying for no crits. No crit. Psychic into the Torkoal. That is almost definitely a knockout. Yep.
I don't think the Torkoal was the target that he had to go for. I probably didn't know about it. But leaving the Torkoal alone there would have been the perfect situation where you KO the Mimikyu. The threat is gone. Right. I mean, it depends, of course, because, Torkoal is a -2, but he could switch out. I mean, he couldn't if he killed Mimikyu, of course. But, locking in Torkoal at -2 could have been big.
Yeah.
But, actually, I think that a -1 Mimikyu is probably doing less damage than a -2 Torkoal in Sun. So maybe Torkoal is actually doing more damage than Mimikyu.
Well, Mimikyu's also on a timer
as well. And Muck can just take care of it. Now, the big threat, the big focus, is on Snorlax. This is going to be...
Let's see if the high horsepower knocks out the Arcanine from this range. It does. Scores a one-hit knockout with a critical hit. That could be huge. That could be game costing depending on how much this Psychic does. And the Shadow Claw, oh my goodness, a second crit. A.Cox with all the luck in the world.
Wow.
Now, even though he's losing his Mimikyu, he's got a Snorlax one-on-one. And Mimikyu actually survives. Oh my god. That changed everything.
This is insane.
Javier cannot believe what just happened to him.
Pulling it off. As with the
pineapple.
the turnaround. The pineapple, guys. It was the pineapple.
Oh my god.
Big shout-outs to the pineapple. Coming clutch for Ashton.
And now
That was an insane turn. I don't know if the high horsepower crit mattered. Shadow Claw could have been a roll. We're not sure if everything mattered. Calm down, guys. Calm down. We don't know if he actually got very lucky or if it was just a roll anyway. Okay?
Yeah, that's
Calm
true.
down.
Someone will calc it. Check Twitter. But
Yes.
that's incredible for Ashton Cox. Either way, able to snatch it back when I didn't think there was much of a chance. Snark actually just going to go for the belly drum. Wants to be absolutely sure that he's able to boost up, or basically he doesn't want to miss like a high horsepower miss and then getting his berry knocked off and ending up in trouble that way. Poison jab will go in, and I think Javier at that point is hoping for the poison and then hoping to stall it out. But Mimikyu actually nails the play rough and procs the Figgy Berry, while the poison obviously is not going to, the poison jab won't poison the Snorlax, and that's basically going to be game. Ashton can just return for the win.
Yeah, and we have Ashton Cox, your Sao Paulo, Latin America international champion. Everyone, I
what a
hope
way.
you all have been enjoying this match. I mean, it's not completely over. There are some win cons for Javier. First of all, if he protects and Ashton Cox keeps on clicking high horsepower. Second, if the DSs lose connection. Third,
the pineapple was a fake, and it
there are
blows
plenty
up.
of win conditions actually.
Yeah.
The roof could fall off. Who knows? Who knows? There are plenty of win conditions. Javier just has to go for them. You know, he could just protect out of returns. Oh, that's actually a good one. He could just protect the the power point out of return.
You
and then
want
force
him to protect all the return?
Yes, and then high horsepower miss, and then he misses every high horsepower, and he just poison jabs it to death.
I would like to see that happen.
That's a win condition, guys. Don't. It's not over yet. It's not over yet.
It's not
Javier
over yet.
just says.
Although
also keep in mind that if Javier takes a long time, it may actually win on timer.
Psych, it's over. So that's it. Ashton Cox now officially crowned the Latin American International Champion, holding the pineapple. There it is to all the doubters. We're going out. We're seeing the crowd. People are probably excited. It was hard to tell, but I'm excited. And wow.
Maybe that was a connection issue. Yeah, because Javier seems to be fixing it. But yeah, Ashton Cox is your international champion.
Hoisting the pineapple over his head. Who needs a trophy when you've got that?